On our list is K. Love.
My piece is called Pity Fatigue. Pity. It is a complex subject. It arises out of a true sense of compassion and caring. Yet, the attempt to bond through a perception of misfortune creates a bitter experience for everyone involved. Although the signs of pity may be hard to define objectively, you know when it's directed at you. Have you ever thought, oh, this must be horrible. Look at the sad faces of everyone around me. Have you ever found yourself exhausted at the end of the day because in addition to the stress you are experiencing due to some unwanted, unpleasant, maybe even traumatic event, you have to deal with people becoming horribly distressed when they see you or hear of your situation? Have you ever experienced a sinking feeling of shame that occurs as a result of others looking at you like your life is not worth living? Have you ever avoided people because you cannot stand any more sad faces? Well, then you know pity is not pretty. This is the story of how I discovered the phenomenon of pity fatigue and vowed that I would no longer allow myself to be affected by the sad responses of others, nor would I perpetrate pity on other people. So, if you feel like a pity provoker, or if you are a pity perpetrator, I want you to know there is hope. While I may not look like a pity provoker, I have a long history with the experience of pity. When I was 9, I hit my head and began to have seizures. I would awaken injured, mute, and blind. And during this dark period, when I was unable to respond, there was always a crowd of people talking about how awful it was, how it should not be happening, such a pitiful condition. I remember the first thing I saw was always a look of terror. That same look appeared whenever I talked about seizures. I also remember seeing the sad expressions of people when they saw other people with disabilities, and hearing comments about how pitiful they are. I remember knowing that I too was a pitiful purveyor of sadness to others. I did not connect these reactions of others to my experience of low self-worth as a teenager. I just thought in addition to being epileptic, I was mentally unstable. It was all I could do not to join the party and pity myself. However, I committed to learn not to be miserable. I was determined not to go through life feeling pathetic. I would write affirmations about being okay how I am and tell myself positive things. Yet, I still had the feeling that I was less than others. I increased my efforts to feel better in my 20s by reading self-help books and getting therapy. Yet, the experience of myself as pitiful lessened with effort, yet it lingered. Because I had seen a lot of people who seemed like they could use to be happier, I entered graduate school to become a psychotherapist. One day in class, my professor said, "We learn about ourselves from the facial expressions of others." This statement lingered in my mind as I left. After class, someone asked me about a huge bruise on my leg, as purple and green blotches made frequent appearances on my body. I said, "Oh, I have seizures. I thrash about and run into things." It was normal to me. I didn't think much of it. And then there it was, vicarious trauma, all over their faces. "Oh, how bad for you. Oh, I don't know how you can endure it. How do you go on?" And then I felt that sinking feeling of shame for causing distress. And then I flashed back to the lecture. We learn about ourselves from the facial expressions of others. And I said, "Oh, that's not about me. That's just their reaction. That's not about me or my situation." to walk around and look at people, how they respond to other people with disabilities. So some people avert their eyes upward, like they're avoiding knowledge of something unpleasant. Some people look down and away, as if they're ashamed of the reaction that they're having. Some people furrow their brow and stare, as though they see a problem to be solved. Watching these faces day after day is exhausting. And just like people who deal with trauma on a professional level are subject to a condition called compassion fatigue, I propose that people who have a situation that others perceive as unpleasant are subject to a vicarious stress condition I call pity fatigue. Now when I see that squinched up face that says, "Oh, how bad for you," I remember that they are mired in their own fear, attempting to bond through the bitterness they feel. They are unable to focus on the sweetness of gifts that result from overcoming obstacles. They may lack the skills to adjust and be happy. I know that look is not about me or my situation. When I see others who are facing something that looks difficult for me, I remember that they too have strengths and gifts I do not know of, and I become curious about who they are. I choose to bond with the unseen sweetness that lies beyond what is bitter at first encounter. Then I look them in the eyes and smile. My psyche is now pity-proof. I no longer perceive myself as a pity provoker, nor do I perpetrate pity on other people. The next time you see someone in a situation you perceive as unpleasant, I invite you to move past the bitterness, become curious about the sweetness, and be more balanced in your attempts to bond.